With What If Lambeth, I created space for conversations around the future of Lambeth and inspired many to take action for a greener and fairer borough. I was also on the steering group for Lambeth Citizens Assembly for the Climate Crisis, representing environmental campaign groups in the borough, and have continued to contribute to Lambeth's climate action plan that has resulted from the Assembly. We've been really fortunate to have two amounts of seed funding. The first one was, I guess, energised by the fact that, well, Lambeth was the first borough in London to declare a climate emergency. And within about 4 to 5 months, they then declared that they're going to have a citizens' assembly. And so a whole load of us, lots of different eco groups in Lambeth, wanted to make sure it was done properly, because from the rumours we were hearing from Lambeth Council, it was going to be a bit of a rush job, and it was all going to be greenwash. And so Transition Town Brixton, who have energised so many different environmental movements within Lambeth. So that's things like the Brixton Pound, which some of you might have heard of, that keeps economy local. That's repowering, which is about keeping energy within a kind of local area and therefore cheaper and more sustainable. Things like Incredible Edible and Healthy Living platform that is all about growing food and having, removing those kind of food miles, etc. And as well as many others, from the Library of Things to the Remakery, the kind of takes old rubbish and makes it reusable, etc. And Transition Town Brixton used to have open project nights that resulted in each of these. Lambeth actually has a huge amount of environmental groups. So then when the Citizens' Assembly was announced, which was in 2019, during the pandemic, so one of our challenges was that it had to move digitally onto Zoom meetings, etc. We had a bit of a deadline, and so we put in an application to get some money to be able to go to residents within the borough and say, right, what do you visualise your existence in 2030 to be? 2030 was the date that Lambeth Council said there'd be net zero by. So that seemed the perfect date for us. And I guess in many ways, not just Transition Town Brixton, but a lot of residents of Lambeth weren't trusting the council to do more than just greenwash this whole exercise. So we put together workshops for residents to talk about, well, basically how they, I think a lot of you know, within Transition Town, visualising is a large core part of how we work. And Rob Hopkins in particular, has kind of set up that whole idea. So we would basically say, right, we would talk them through almost like a guided meditation as to how they envisaged their future to be. It's basically goal setting in many ways, but by visualizing what your future could be in 9, 10 years time, 8 years time, then you can think about how you're going to get there. Because if you can taste it, if you can smell it, if you can touch it, if you can feel it emotionally, then you can properly visualize it and you can go, this is where I want to be. So that was basically for our first stage in first one would have been 2021. Yes. So that was our first stage. And we did a lot of workshops with residents, asking them to think about where they want their future to be and what they can do. And we did a lot of things to try and achieve that. We did a lot of communications. We got into a lot of social media, whether it be Twitter, WhatsApp, to try and get people along to those. And we also made a film that has been shared on social media, and you can easily find it if you haven't seen it and you'd like to see it. We made a documentary talking to residents within Lambeth as to how they saw their future with an environmental mind frame. And you can find that just by going to YouTube and typing in "What If Lambeth." Then, after that year, we were fortunate enough to get more seed funding. And this year, so that started from right at the beginning of 2022 and has just finished with open project sessions, which I'll talk about in a second. We're still finishing off some of our youth sessions, but they were the main things that we were focused on. Was firstly, we had all these ideas coming out of the workshops, the visioning workshops that we were doing. People were coming up with these amazing ideas of, a Bank of Lambeth, or giving more space to the, all the spaces on estates that say keep off the grass, grow food on them. And there's all these amazing ideas, but we didn't have the capacity to take those ideas and move forward. So what we did with our second round of funding over this year is we had over 6 months, we had 12 open project sessions where we got local residents of all ages to put forward their ideas. And we started off just kind of brainstorming things that might want to happen. And then we moved on to which ones there was an excitement about getting involved, where we could put together teams, etc. We then introduced them to various experts. And that included Lambeth Council. We got in touch with Lambeth Council's environmental team, and we put them in touch with the various ideas. And then finally, we split it into 4 quarters. We then started helping them with things like budgets and project plans, etc. And we helped them to develop that. And what has come out of that on that side of this year's project is that there's a retrofitting plan within Lambeth that is working with the council based on the connections that we put them together with. And it's at the moment, it's doing market research. It's finding out what workshops and what plans the local residents in Lambeth want to find out more about. So if it is retrofitting, obviously that covers lots of things. That could be insulating, double glazing, that could be heat pumps. There's a whole variety, solar panels, etc. there. The other thing that we did with our second round of funding, and we've still got a couple of workshops to do on this, is we did the visualing workshops with young people. We were particularly focusing on people who are aged between 16 and 25. And that is mostly because these are the ones who are going to inherit the earth, or inherit whatever we end up leaving to them. So we really want to hear what they want the future to be.